What's up? It's Luke Cogliano, and this is the Ellen Live Show. So the movies I'm reviewing this week are things I saw over the period of a couple weeks, and they're all very good films. I recommend that you see them all, and they are all things that I very thoroughly enjoyed. So the trip is about two guys that go on an adventure through England to find great places to eat. And just the way that they go through all of northern England is just so incredible. They just really give you a sense of what the entire area is like, and it was such a beautiful experience. It was really just great to see all the locations and all of the places that they ate at, because it was just so interesting and so new. The humor in this movie is just flat out brilliant. Every joke just has you on the floor, and it's just a great time, and it's an absolutely hilarious film throughout. The two main guys in this film, Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon, they have amazing chemistry. They work great together, and it's just so fun to see how they interact. And the scenes where they have fights over their impressions are just stunning. They are some of the best parts of this film, and that just made watching this movie so much more worth it. I also like that this movie is very grounded and really realistic. It didn't stray away and become too cliche or predictable, and I really liked that, and I thought that made it really interesting to watch. So at the end of this movie, it takes a really shocking turn and actually becomes quite sad, and I thought that was really interesting how they just completely twisted the whole mood of the film that fast at the end. But in doing so, it just made the whole conclusion very powerful, and I absolutely loved it. I totally recommend going to see it as soon as you can. It's not really, um, it's not really wide release, so I would maybe say wait for it to get on DVD because it'll just be a lot easier that way. But definitely go check it out when you can and see what you think. So for Captain America, I actually was very impressed by this movie. At first, I wasn't too sure about Chris Evans playing Captain America, but he really pulled it off, and he made it his own thing, and the way that he used the story of him being bullied and how he stayed a good person throughout the entire transformation was really great, and I just was so impressed that he kind of moved away from his usual performances and just made this movie really worth watching. This is by far one of the best Marvel movies in a long, long time. It's better than, I would say, Iron Man 2 and definitely Thor. I was very impressed by the entire thing. What really made this movie so good was that the characters were so good, and that they just had so many interesting characters that you could follow throughout the whole thing. They really stuck to each character. They didn't really drift away from anybody, and they really got you emotionally attached to every single person. It really made you care and be passionate about what was happening to each of these characters. I have to say though, I wasn't really impressed by the entire look of the film. It did look a little cheap at points, and some of the special effects just weren't there for me, and I kind of just thought that they could have spent a little more time on that, and that might have just added to the whole film. And there are times where this movie gets kind of cheesy, just kind of where Chris Evans is starting out as Captain America, and he's going around, he's kind of doing the political campaign, and that I just thought was kind of didn't really need to be in there. They could have kind of left that out. They could have really worked around it maybe, but that was something that I didn't really like, and I thought they could have changed. So because they've established these great connections throughout the whole movie, when it comes to the end, you really feel sad about what's happened. And you feel really sad about how he's left the world he's always known, and how he's kind of been abandoned. And the last line of this movie is absolutely amazing. It's so perfect and just makes this movie great. And if you still need a little something extra to get you to see this movie, there is an Avengers teaser at the end of the film if you wait for the credits to finish up, and it's awesome. So definitely check it out. Go see it in theaters, get a taste of the Avengers, and see what you think. So for Friends with Benefits, I thought it was kind of predictable throughout the entire thing, which was really a letdown for me, because I kind of thought it was going to try to distance itself from the rest of these romantic comedies that have been coming out, but it really didn't, and it just kind of stuck to the same, and it really just kind of stuck to the same routine, so that really didn't do anything for me. There are some really shining points of this movie, though, and those points are what make this movie worth seeing. These are the scenes where Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis first hook up, and that scene is incredible. It's so funny, and it's just really outstanding humor, and that's probably the greatest thing about this whole movie. And Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis are really strong together. They have great chemistry. I'm sure they're a lot better than what Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman did for No Strings Attached. Another great character in this is Woody Harrelson. He is so funny. He's only in a few times. He's only in the movie a little bit, but he is hilarious in every scene that he's in. And it's great that they pulled him in for this. What also really got me interested in this movie was how they kind of snuck in a sad story about Justin Timberlake's father, because he has Alzheimer's, and they kind of show him how his family is dealing with that. And I thought that was really interesting that they threw that in and kind of made it a little more realistic and kind of gave you a little more emotional connection to the whole cast and crew. I wouldn't say rush out and see it, but definitely see it when it's on DVD because it's a really good time and it's just a lot of fun. And then on Crazy Stupid Love, this was a beautiful movie. I loved the entire thing. I was laughing the entire time, and I just loved it. This movie had a really strong cast, and I thought that Gosling was probably one of the strongest, and then also the character, and then also the actor who played Steve Carell's son. He was amazing, and both he and Ryan Gosling just really made this movie stand out and just brought it through the entire time. And I thought how the entire cast interacted together was just spot on, and they just made this movie so great and just really stand out above a lot of other films this year. This movie is filled with a lot of smart dialogue and a lot of smart jokes. It really elevated itself above all other comedies this year, and I was absolutely impressed by that. This film is also filled with a lot of incredible twists as far as who's related to who and who's been sleeping with who, and it's just so funny when they finally reveal this. And I'll say that when they come to what I'm going to call the mini golf scene, that is literally the best scene in this movie. It is absolutely hilarious, and the things that they do in that, I was blown away. It was so great, and that's what made this movie so incredible, and I really thought this was one of the best things I've seen this year, and I'm so glad to have gotten to go see it. All of the members of the cast are so good, and they really make you feel for this movie. When they come to the point where Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling's characters are finally getting together, and they kind of show how Gosling is turning into a better person, and then they kind of hint at his past, I thought that was really important to do, and that really helped bring this movie along and kind of keep the story moving on, and really bringing it to a more emotional level. This movie really takes its time going through every single thing that it needs to, and I'm really glad that they didn't skip anything that was in it, because it was just so, because it was just so good to have all that stuff in it and just show you the whole cycle of how Steve Carell goes from being divorced, being kind of a struggling person, and then kind of picking himself up, and then kind of rising back to his former status. So that was really an interesting thing, and I thought they did that in a really great way. One of the only things I didn't like about this movie was that they kind of, at times, jumped out of reality, and they kind of took this film in places where things just wouldn't happen. Like when they, when Steve Carell stops his son's graduation to give a speech, I just thought that was really kind of corny, and that was really just had no place in this film. But it was an amazing film. I totally recommend seeing this. Also the camera work in this film is really something, and there's a lot of good music too. You really don't get bored about watching this. You're always pretty interested in the shots that they're taking you through, and it's just something to really check out in theaters. I totally recommend seeing this, and it was definitely one of the best things I've seen this year. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time. As always, you can subscribe up top, leave a comment down below, leave a video response, and like this video and give it a thumbs up. So I'm going to be going on vacation for 2 weeks, and I don't really know if I'll be able to be posting videos. I'll try to, but I can't promise that I will. So for today's question today, I want to know, what movies do you want me to review next? So leave your suggestions down below, and I'll try to go see those. So I'll see you guys next time, and that's it for the show.
Can I resist?